This call is now being recorded.
Okay. So if you are on the cloud or if you are on the software, what you can do, you can go to this file, click on this file and go to this new file, click on R script, click on R script, and then one blank page will get open and some name will be given like untitled. For example, for me, it's given untitled 20. So later on, we can save this particular file. So all of you can open a new file. Yesterday, we were doing some command practice, right? And we also saw R as a calculator. Let me begin from there only because two, three commands were left over there. So let's fire and then we can go ahead. So let me store some values. Let's say I'm storing in A 10. How to execute, what we can do. If the cursor is over there, we can say control enter. Still some people are joining it.
Sir,
Yeah.
I have also downloaded it. I just wanted to know about the new folder I'm trying to create. I'm not able to get it in the panel. Can you just go
Yeah,
about?
yeah. I'll just now I'll teach that. Okay. Again, that's setting the working directory and all. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So good you asked. What we can do? Let's say suppose you are having any folder. Let's say I'm having one folder on the desktop. This particular folder, right?
Yes.
So what we can do, or let's say I'll create one folder in front of you. So you can go to any drive. I clicked on the my computer. I'll go to F drive. You can go to any drive wherever you want to save it. So I'm going in this folder. Here I've created one data science folder where I keep all the content. So it's like I'll go to this IDME folder and let's say this is my directory. Okay. So which directory I've created? I've created IDME directory. Inside 1 second workshop is there. So I've created this particular directory and I want to set this particular directory as my current working directory. So what I'll do, I'll just copy this entire path. I'll just copy this entire path. I'll go over here. First, I'll fire this get WD. I'll just check what it's showing me. So if I fire, it's showing me C users Om Prakash desktop IDME2. So I think on the desktop, one folder is there. I've set that particular path. Now suppose I want to set another path. So what you can do, set WD in that double quotes and whatever the path you copied, whichever folder you want to make the current working directory, you can copy that path and you can paste it over here,
Okay, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Now, yeah, now what you need to do, you need to change this particular slash to in this direction, right direction.
Forward slash. Okay.
Yes. So
Okay.
change
I'm
this.
also trying to do the same.
Yeah. Once this is over, you can control enter, and then what you can do, you can just check get WD, get WD, and fire this command control enter and see whether it's displaying you this current working directory or not. You can do one more thing. For example, if you see here, if you see this particular last quadrant, this is the file window. So from here also, there is an option. These three dots are there, right? Three dots are there. If you can see on this fourth quadrant, there is the three dots are given. You can click over there on three dots, and then from there also you can select. So for example, if I want to select it, so this particular window will get open. If I want to go to that folder, I'll go from here. So you can go from here. and I've selected that folder. I'm saying open. Okay, so it will open this content of that particular folder. Now what you can do, you can click on this gear icon and you can say set as working directory. Set as working directory. So automatically it will fire the command for you, and the working directory will be set for you. So you can do from here also.
But I cannot, mine is not set. I have already set it, but it is not, when I do get WD, it is not showing. It's showing the older path only.
Okay, so do it from here. Many times, if it is not happening from there, you can do it from here, right? Click on that three dots, select that particular folder, and then after that, go to more and set as working directory.
Go to more.
Go
First, can you repeat one more time, sir?
click on these three dots. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Go to that folder, select that folder.
Okay, I'm just doing the same thing also. Three dots.
Go to which folder you want to set it, right?
Yes, sir. I'm doing the same thing.
Select like this and open it. Click on open.
Sure. Yeah. Open.
Done?
Okay, 1 minute. So this is done, but I'm just checking with the get WD.
No, after that, what you will have to do, click on this gear icon, more.
Go to more and
More,
set as
set
working.
as working directory. Yeah.
Okay, now it's done. Sir.
Yeah, now you can fire get WD and check. Okay.
Yes, done.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So then what I did in A, I am trying to save the 10 value. I can execute this. And if I want to print the value of A, I'm saying A, and then I'm control entering, and it will display the value over here. Okay. Now, yesterday I told you that if we want to delete this particular content, if you want to clear it, we can say what control L, and it will delete the content. There is one more option. I think you can say cat, and in one inverted comma, you can put 014. Let me check. Yeah. So you can say cat, and in one inverted comma, single inverted comma, you can say 014. 014, and if you'll enter, it will also clear the screen. Okay. And then suppose I want to remove this one. So yesterday I told you one command, that is rm, and I told you list is equal to ls, right? So this will going to remove the entire content of the environment window. Sorry, this will going to remove the entire content of the environment window. But if we want to remove one element, for example, you can say like this. Suppose I want to remove A from over here. I can say rm A. It's going to remove only that from here. I can also say like this, rm A, comma, let's say another, not A already I have removed. Let's say B and CH I want to remove. So I can say B, comma, CH, and I'll enter. So it will remove B, CH from there. So we can remove multiple variables also from this particular environment window. And if you want to clear everything, you can just give this particular command and it will clear the entire list. I am there, right? All of you can hear me. Yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
We
Sir,
can
one
hear.
small doubt. Can you
Yeah.
just tell me the names of the four quadrants?
Yeah. So the first quadrant is called as the script window, where we write the script, the code. Okay. The second window is called as, this one is called as environment window, environment and history window, where we can see the history content and the environment stuff. Then the third quadrant, which is over here, this is called a file and plot window. So if you see here, file and plot is written. So this is called a file and plot window. And the last one, this one is called as the console or command terminal.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, suppose whatever commands I have fired, I want to see the history. Let's say I'll say history, and here I'm writing, let's say 10, and control enter. So it will show me the 10 history. Okay. Here is showing me the entire thing, I think. So whatever number you will specify, it should show that much. Let me change this. Let's say 20. Okay. It's showing me, I think, full only. Anyway, if we want to save the entire history, whatever commands we'll be firing, if you want to save the entire history, you can say like this. And where we want to save the history, we want to save the history in a text file, so that you can give that particular history to someone. So what you can do, you can say like this: save history. Save history, there is one command, and in this you can mention the file name. Let's say uh, file equal to, you can say today.txt file. Today history, let's say today history.txt file. So I'm giving the name today underscore hist.txt. Now where this file will be saved. So obviously we have set the current working directory as this particular folder, right? So it will be, that file will be saved over here only, whichever is your current working directory. Control enter. If you see this particular file, just now it got created, right? Today underscore his.txt. This is a history file in which all whatever history you have done, everything will be saved in this particular file. If you want to open it, try to open it. Click on that. Yeah, so it got open. You see whatever history is there. I think for me it's so many commands I must have fired, so it's displaying everything. Okay, so this is a history command which you can fire and you can save the history. Then yesterday I told you one important command, that is if you require to install any particular package, so how you will do. So again I revise that so that you will remember. So yesterday I told you to install this particular package, reshape 2. So again I'll revise this thing. What you will do, if you want to install any particular package, you will say install dot package. So if you see here, two will appear. One is install dot packages and the first one is the install dot packages. You need to select the first one, install dot packages. So install dot packages, and let me install this again, reshape 2, right? So you can mention the name over there, like whichever the package you want to install, you can mention the name of that particular package, and you can control enter. Only the internet connection must be there, because if you'll be working on the local machine, then please check your internet connection is there, and then it will do automatically, right? And one more option is there. So suppose we have already yesterday installed this particular package, right? So like this, once you will start practicing, many packages you might have installed already. So if the packages are already installed, no need to install it again. So anytime you require any package, what you can do, you can click over here in this particular window. You can click on these packages, right? And I'll just clear this here. So here, whatever packages is installed will be displayed in this particular packages. Once we'll click on this particular window. So here I run this again and it's installing it anyway. So whichever package is required, you just search that particular package. You can just scroll this, and if that package is found, what you have to do, you simply have to click on the checkbox, right, which is given over here. And by default, once you click that particular checkbox, that package will be loaded to your program, right? It will going to execute the library command, and that will be get loaded. So for example, suppose Suppose I am saying let this finish. Okay, so this is finished, I think. Yeah. So for example, if we see here now, if you are not getting, you can just search also. See here, I search reshape and I got over here. What I'll do, I'll just click on this. So it will execute this library reshape library command. I told you yesterday that once we'll fire this library, inside this we will mention the package name. That library will get loaded to our program. So before installing any package, you can always see over here in the packages list. It's possible that the package is already installed and it's there along with you. What you can do, you can just simply search that particular package and click on the checkbox. Then that package will be included in your program. If it's not there, then you can go ahead with this install.packages command. So I hope this is clear to all of you.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, in install.packages, we have to write that name of package in double inverted or single inverted commas.
Uh, this whether you are writing the single comma or double comma, it will not going to create any difference. Okay, so you can write anyway. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah, both will do.
Sir, and also in that save history command line,
Hmm.
sir, in that file is already existing or we are creating one?
This file, I'm creating a new file.
And in that we are saving a history.
Yes, 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 yes.
And where will we find that file?
That file will be there if you click over here. Whichever is your current working directory you have set, right?
Okay.
That file will be there.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Hello,
Now,
sir.
yeah,
Sir,
yeah. Yes.
Sir, yes, sir. Sir, I want to ask that means tomorrow, yesterday I have set the working directory, but today the previous working directory is only visible when I created new file.
So
Why is that so?
whether that folder is there still, the folder which you created yesterday.
Yes, sir. It is there only.
So you can set that working directory.
Sir, we have to do always means whenever we create new file.
I think we don't have to do, but uh, because where you did on the cloud or on this one.
In on the local machine.
Okay, so it should not happen. I mean, it should remember the last working directory. But if you might have opened some file today, you might have closed the application and might have opened the new file, then probably it might have set that particular directory. Anyway, you can always check with the get wd, right? And
Okay, yeah.
if that directory is not set, then you can always set. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
So
And
remember as a task, as the first task, always to set that directory. Because if we
okay,
want to put content in the desired directory, then we must set the path. Yeah.
sir,
yes.
Yeah.
I just have a question. I did whatever you have done, install.packages, but it is not executing. Can you see where I made a mistake?
Okay. Can you share your screen?
Yes, sir. So just 1 minute. I think I made a.
Now you are able to work. I
No,
mean,
so
what?
what I'll do is I'll not interrupt you. I'll wait later on and then
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can do this.
Because it will consume
Yes,
the
sir.
time. Later on,
Okay, so
we can go
later
ahead
on
with your doubt.
after the
Okay.
this thing I will, yes, we
Yeah,
will.
yeah.
Yes,
After session, we can sit and whatever problem is there, we can resolve. Right?
yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Let's see the next thing. That is, what are the basic data which are there in this R language? So basic data which I'm talking about, whether We can take the character, we can take the numbers, we can take the float values, then Boolean values. So which different types of data it's allowing us to take. So let's see the few basic data type, and then we will go ahead with the R objects. So I've created one file. I'll demonstrate. You just first pay attention, okay? Now suppose the way we are doing over here, remember there are these data types, like numeric is there, one is integer is there, second one is complex. So this complex is used for storing the complex number. I hope you remember the complex number, like it contains the two parts, a real part and the imaginary part, like 1 plus 2y, 3 plus 5y, like this. So that kind of complex number can be stored. Then we have the character type, we have the Boolean type, and the last one we have the raw data. Okay, numeric, integer, complex, character, Boolean, and raw data. So Boolean, like, will be having true and false. Raw data I'll explain once I'll come over there. And then we have the character, where we can store a single character or even the name of the people, like, so it's like we can store the string also, or one single character. If you want, you can store with the help of character. The first one is the numeric. So numeric data, whenever you will say like this x, and then the arrow. If I want to store this will by default store as a numeric data. So what do you mean by numeric? Numeric will consist of floating point also, that means the number with the decimal point also, and the normal integer value also. So numeric will contain both the kind of numbers. But if you specifically specify integer kind of data, right, that how to specify, I'll tell you, then it will not consist of decimal values. So most of the time we use the numeric only, but if in case you require integer value, we can definitely make, but that integer value will cannot consist of what, the decimal point values. But the numeric can have, remember, the numeric can have both the decimal also and the integer also, right? So whichever values you will give, by default it will take as a numeric type. So for example, I'm storing this in x5, and I'm saying control enter. I'll just stretch this one. I'll clear the screen first. Okay. And let me store this number in x. So we have stored the number. Let's try to display x first. So displaying me x is equal to 5. X is equal to 5. Now, by using this class function, we can check the class or the type of that particular data. So let's fire class. Inside that class function, write the x, and let's fire this. So if I'm checking the class of this x, what I am getting numeric. That means this particular data is of type numeric, right? Nowhere I have mentioned. What I simply did, in the x I try to put some value, and by default it's taking what, numeric kind of data. So remember, by default we take the numeric kind of data, and by using the class function you can check the class of that particular variable. So this is what do you mean by variable? Variable means one entity where you can store the data, right? Any data you want to store, you will have to create the variable, and in that you can temporarily store your data. So like x, y, z, whatever we will create, we can store the data, our data inside that one. And the name is variable because it may vary throughout the program. It's not a constant, so it may vary throughout the program. That's why we say it as a variable. Anyway, so to store the content, you can create one variable, and then to check the class of that particular variable, we can fire this class function. Now let me, there are two more functions. One is dot function, and second is as dot function. Sorry. One is dot function, and second is as dot function. So there are two kinds of functions available. With the is dot function, we can check, for example, I can say like this, is dot character, and in this bracket I am passing what, x. So I want to check whether this x is character type. If it's not character type, it will give me false. If it is character type, it will give me true. So with the is dot function, we can check whether particular data is of that particular type or not, right? For example, here X we have created, that is a numeric type. And if I'll say is dot character, if I'll enter, it's telling me false. Similarly, if I say is dot numeric to the same X, then it's telling me what? True, right? Because it was the numeric type, so it's telling me true. I hope this is dot function is clear and the class function is clear. So you can create any variable. If you want to check the type of that particular variable, what you can fire the class function, and in that you can mention the variable name. It will give you the type of that particular class. Similarly, there are two kinds of function. One is dot function and second is as dot function. With the help of each dot function, you can mention any data type. And if you want to check whether that variable is of that particular type, you can fire that command is dot character. It will tell you true or false. Okay. Now let's see, suppose, so that was the numeric type. Now suppose I'm inserting 10 value inside this y, right? So if I'm writing in this way, definitely by default it will have which type? By default it will have what? Numeric type. So I'm storing 10 inside this y. Executed. Now let's print the value of y. So the value of y is what? 10. Value of y is what? 10. Now if I'll fire this class y, so I'll get the numeric type, because the by default it will take the numeric data type. So let's check the class of this y. It's telling me numeric type. Okay. Now I want to check with the is dot integer function. So definitely this is not an integer function, right? Because this is a numeric type. So if I fire this is dot integer y, it's telling me false. Because if I check is dot numeric and if I say y, it will give me what? True. See here is dot numeric, it's telling me true. So definitely this y is not integer type, it's what? Numeric type. But I want to convert it to integer type. So where this function will come into picture, as dot function. So with the help of as dot function, right, I can take one variable, let's say a equal to, I am saying as dot integer, and I'm passing that variable y over here. Now it will convert y to integer. So with the help of as dot function, you can convert one data type to other data type very easily. So if I fire this as dot integer, I'm trying to convert y to integer value. Y is what? Actually, it's a numeric value. So I am firing this command, and let's print the value of a, right? Value of a will be 10. Now let's fire the class a function. So if you see here, now it's showing me integer. Now it's showing me integer because we have converted from numeric to integer. So till here, all of you clear?
Sir, can you repeat the as dot command?
Yeah. So there are two functions. One is dot function. Second is as dot function. With the is dot function, you can check the type is correct or not. So for example, I'm saying over here is dot character x. So I'm asking whether this x is character or not. So if it's not character, it will give me false. If it is a character, it will give me true. And by using this as dot function, we can convert from one particular data type to other data type, right? So for example, if there I've taken y and this is a numeric type and I want to convert this to integer, so what I can do, I can declare one variable a equal to as dot integer, in the bracket I'm passing y, so it will convert my this numeric data to the integer. So by using the as dot, and whatever data type you want to convert, you can mention that particular data type, it will going to convert to that data type. Clear?
Yes, sir.
But how is it possible to convert the integer to a character? Like, it won't be possible, right?
Right. So we know that we can convert easily numeric to integer or integer to numeric. Okay.
So, but for like we can't.
So don't try to convert to string and all to numeric or integer data.
Okay.
And anyway, the integer you will not require mostly. You will be using the numeric only data type. but there is a way you can convert from one particular data type to other data type. Okay. If you try to convert a character, single character, then it will be converted to ASCII value of that one. Yeah, please.
So what you did here is basically you didn't really convert the y into an integer. You put the value of y, you assigned the value of y to the variable a, right? Because in
Yeah,
this
so
case,
yeah,
if you
yeah.
look at the class of y, it is still numeric. It is not
Yeah,
integer.
so my aim is to get that value as an integer, right? So what I am doing, if you want to put in the y only, so you can put here y, right? You can do y equal to as dot
Okay, you
integer
can
y.
do that. Okay, it
Yeah, so
allows
in
you.
that way, yeah, understood. So I didn't want to disturb that y earlier one, and
Got it,
you can,
got it.
yeah. So in that way, you'll be able to do. Otherwise, I just wanted to demonstrate because of y you can convert and you can put in some other value, and that you can get as an integer value.
Makes sense. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So similarly, we have the character kind of data, right? So for example, if we try to convert the same data as the character, so you can do that one. You can put the a inside that as dot character, and you can convert to the character type. But remember, it should not be string. It should be only one single character. And second thing, remember what you have to remember: two functions, as dot function and is dot function. Is dot function you can check whether true or false, and with the help of as dot function you can convert from one particular data type to other data type. Now let's demonstrate this one. For example, I want to store a letter a inside x, so I'll have to simply say x is equal to a, or x arrow a. So in this way, and this thing you can write in the double quotes or you can write in the single quote. It doesn't matter. So if I want to store a letter a inside x, I'm running this and then I'm displaying it. See here, it's displaying me, and in fact it has displayed in the double quotes. Okay. Now if I want to check is dot character, let me check whether it's a character or not. So it's telling me true. It's telling me true. So it is a character type. This is how you can declare the character kind of data, and you can store inside the variable. Now there is one more thing. Suppose I want to store a collection of data like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I want to store in one single variable. This will be seeing once we'll be doing the vector. But let's say currently now suppose I want to store all these 5 numbers in x only. So what we can do with the help of the C function, the C function is very useful. This is called as the combine function. Okay, C stand for combine. So this C is very important function, and most of the time we'll be using this particular C function. Here specifically what we are doing, we are creating a collection of numeric data. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it will create a collection of numeric data, and it will store inside this X. So let me execute this. Let's print the value of X. So it's displaying me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically I wanted to store a collection of that particular data elements. Now let's check the class of X. So class of X is what? Numeric data. Okay, numeric data. I hope this is clear to all of you. Which function I am using? I am using C function. Okay, with the help of C function, you can combine the multiple values and you can store as a collection. So here I am storing multiple numeric values like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside my X variable, and by using what? C function. Okay. Now there is a one data type, that is what? A complex data type. So that we can store like this. For example, if in A I want to store, just see over here, in A I want to store 2 numbers and both the numbers are complex. You are aware of the complex number, right? We represent in this term like first part is the real part and the second part is the imaginary part. So in the complex number we have the 2 parts. One part will be the real part and the second part will be the imaginary part. So if we try to assign this number to the A, okay, so I have assigned both the numbers to this one, and then let's print the value of A. So it has printed 1 plus 2i, 2 plus 3i. And let's check the value of A, that means the type of A. So if we check the type of A, it's showing me complex. So this A is what? A complex. So whichever values are on the right hand side, if we take that particular type over here, right? So we have declared the complex data type and it has taken the type of complex type. Okay. Now let's focus on this one, which we earlier did. Like suppose I want to store the collection of 4 numbers, so I will use the combine function or C function. We pronounce this as a C function, right? So whenever you want to declare a collection of certain numbers, you can always use the C function. So I'm using the C function. I want to store these 4 values in the A. I've executed that. Let me print that value. So it's displaying me 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's print the class of this one. Now the class of this one is showing me numeric type. Okay, we know that because by default it will take any number. If you want to store, that will be stored as the numeric type. Now let's say suppose we want to store it as what? Integer type. Okay, we want to store it as integer type. So after every number you will have to write the capital L. Okay, after every number you will have to write the capital L. Then all the numbers will be what? Integer type. So for example, here I have written in the C function 1L, 2L, 3L, 4L. So if I'll say this one, let's print, the values will be same, 1, 2, 3, 4. But if we want to check the class, it's showing now integer. It's showing now integer. So it's like, for example, there is a x variable, and you want to store 5. So if we'll say this much, and we will check the type, right? Class x, it will show you numeric. But what you will do if you write there 5L, and you enter that, and now you check the type, it will show you integer. If you want to store the integer value, what you can do, you can write the capital L after that number, so that can be stored as the what? Integer value. And if you're not writing anything, then if any number is there, that will be stored as the numeric data type. Okay. Then we have.
Can you please repeat complex type?
Okay. So this is the complex type. In the complex type, what happens actually? So any complex number is represented by 2 parts. Okay, any complex number represented by 2 parts. The first part is the real part, and in the form of this plus, and then we write the imaginary part. Okay, imaginary part is written with the combination of I. So it's like 2 plus 3i. This is a complex number. Okay, this is a complex number. 4 plus 2i. This is a complex number. So in the normal or integer numbers or normal or numbers, what we have, we don't have this imaginary part. We have the only real part. But in the complex number, we have the imaginary part. Okay, for example, if I tell you to find out, what is the square root of -1, you will not be able to find out. Okay? So if I say I square is equal to what? -1, I square. So this is what the complex number is represented with this particular type, a real part plus the imaginary part. So if we for this also the provision is made in the R language, and if you want to store the data of this particular type, complex type, you can do what? C function. In that whichever number you want, I mean how many numbers you want, you can write over there. C 1 plus 2i, 2 plus 3i, 2 numbers I want to store. So I have combined both the numbers with this one, and then I try to see the class of that one, and it gave me the complex data type because I have stored the complex data type. Whether you understood?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, then let's come to Boolean type. And Boolean type means what? True or false values. They are called as the Boolean type. So it's like, suppose in A, I am storing true. Okay. I can store the true, and then if I want to print, so control enter, it's giving me true. Now if I want to check the class of that one, class of A, it will tell me the logical. So logical or the Boolean is the same thing. So it's a logic. logic values like true or false. So similarly, if I say A is equal to false, and then let's print that, and let's check the class of A, it's giving me logical type. Okay. Now let's come to the last data type, that is the raw data type. So let's say suppose I am having some string value and I want to store as what, a raw data type. So there is one function that is called as char to raw. So this is actually a character type data, right? And then what we are saying, char to raw. So it can convert to raw kind of data. And why we require to convert to raw kind of data? See, whenever we process with the help of big strings and all, it consumes certain amount of time. And if you are processing directly with the help of raw data, then it takes less time. Okay, because directly it's there in the byte, I mean in the machine code format, so it takes less time to understand for the computer, so it becomes little bit fast to process in terms of this raw data. So let's say suppose I want to store a char to raw. Okay, this character value hello, I'm executing, let's print the value of x. So if you're printing the value of x, you will be seeing this hexadecimal kind of code over here. This is what a raw data. It's a raw data. And if you want to check the type of this one, class X, it will show you the raw data. Okay. Whether all of you are aware of that, what benefit we will be getting if we will be writing the code in the machine language, or if you're writing the code in this kind of languages like Python or Java, .NET. So there is a huge differences if you are writing the code in this particular language and if you are writing the code directly in the machine language. Remember one thing, the computer will only going to understand machine language. And what do you mean by machine language? Machine language means it's binary language. It's a binary language. So binary language means what? Bi means two. Bi means two. A language which has two values. So 0 and 1. So whatever things you will be writing, you will be writing in terms of zeros and ones. Okay, you will be writing in terms of zeros and ones. So that language is called as what? A machine language. So if you are writing any program in the machine language directly, computer understand machine language only. For example, here what we are writing in some English words, right? English terms. So these kind of languages are called high level languages where it's comfortable for us to write the program, right? Because we understand those languages in a better way. Otherwise, if somebody will tell you to write the code in 0101 like this, and suppose there will be 1,000 lines of code, it's very difficult for us to write the code in the machine language, plain machine language. So that's why people went ahead and they created this kind of languages. There is a long history of this one, right? So I don't want to go in the entire history because I'll have to explain the entire thing from the when the first computer was made and then how the languages got developed from there. But I can tell you that if you're writing a code in machine language, that will be much faster and it will give you a lot of power to you. Okay, performance will be very high. But along with this kind of thing, you will lose the portability. The code will not be portable. So if you write the code directly in the machine understandable format, if you are writing on one particular vendor machine, okay, the same code will not be executable on the other machine. So that
It is
benefit
difficult to
will.
rectify errors also.
Sorry, I could not hear you. Can
It
you
will be
please?
difficult to rectify if there is any error. You will not be able to
Yes,
find that.
yes. So in the entire world, I mean, very few, like 2-3% of the programmer are there who really code in the, in this kind of machine language. And that machine language is also not that language is called a assembly language. So people do program in assembly language. Okay, there are few famous programming languages are there, like IA32 is there, which I also know. I also program in IA32. So it's a bit difficult to write the code over there because a long code will be there. And in this IA32 assembly language, at least what provision is there, that you don't have to write in 0 and 1's term. You can write in symbolic codes. Like for example, you can write in this way: add, then sum, right? So multiply, mul. So this kind of symbols will be there, small symbols. So it's like a stream of code is being converted to symbols, small symbols, so that it's become easier for the programmer to remember at least this kind of code, and we can use this code and to write the program. But if somebody will tell to write the program in plain this kind of binary stream, then obviously it will be very difficult. And when the first computer was made, the program were written in this particular language. At that time, this kind of sheet were there, and the holes were made on this particular sheet. It's a copper sheet, and the holes were made like this. So suppose I have written some program, so I have made with the proper measurement and everything, holes at proper places. So I have written certain instruction on this sheet. Now there used to be one computer in the entire city, okay, let's say, or in the entire college, and then people used to come with their this kind of sheet, and they used to submit to the computer. When their number used to come, then computer had set of pins like this. Some pin used to get inside the hole, some pin used to get pressed, and based on that the computer used to make the ones or zero decision. For example, the pins which were passing through the holes, it will make the ones, and the pins which are getting pressed, it will make the zeros decision. And based on this, the program, the computer is to execute the program. Now remember, now what you can think, that even if one hole, even if one hole is not properly we have made, then entire sheet we have to throw it, and we have to take another sheet, and again we'll start making the holes on that particular sheet at proper places. So that was the tedious kind of job people used to do, right? And hence, first thing, this kind of hardware wastage was there, right? Second thing, the programmer experience was not portable. I mean, it was very difficult to write the code in ones and zeros. So they thought, now let's create one some language in which at least some symbolic code will be there, and then they created the assembly language. And after the assembly language, then there is a history of the C language and C++, when after that the operating system was created. Why the operating system was created, in a short I can explain you. For example, once the people were operating the computer at that time, they were facing certain problems. Like, let's say, suppose nowadays, whenever we have the machine at our home, we require few tasks to be done regularly. Like we want to take the printout many times, right? So we want the printer to be connected, okay, printer to be operated. Then at the same time, whatever devices you are attaching to your computer, right? For example, now I have attached my pen tab on by which I am writing. So that is one there, printer will be there, right? Camera will be there. So a lot of devices you attach to your computer. Now earlier it was like that, whenever you want to use anything, you will have to write the code for that particular stuff. For example, if I want to use the printer to my computer, I'll have to write the code which can communicate with this computer and this printer, and then only I can utilize this printer, I can take the printout. So imagine how tedious it was. Whenever I want to take the printout, every time I'll have to write the program, then I will have to execute, and then I can take the printout. So people thought that some of the tasks which are being repeated continuously, why not to bundle those kind of programs in one software? Okay, and whenever we will sell our product, like any new computer we will be selling, we will sell along with that bundle of the software which people daily require. So they created one bundle of software. I mean, that was the idea of creating the operating system. In the operating system, all those stuffs like this kind of programs are called as device driver program. A device driver. So whenever you will attach any devices to your machine, the device driver program is already automatically gets installed. The job of this device driver program is to communicate with your hardware and with your computer software. Okay, so it can communicate with the hardware as well as the software, and the job of this one to basically provide the communication between your external hardware and your computer, and then only we can give the print command, and the printer can print it. So that kind of softwares were bundled, and it was given with the new computers. And then people, whenever they wanted to take the printout, they don't have to write the program, right? They can use the services which are directly there in the operating system, and they can take the printout. They can save their time. And that operating system was designed in the C language in 1980s. And afterward, they become very popular, and everybody wanted to learn that C language. So this was a little bit history, but C language is still it's a high level language. C language is also high level language, but it's more closer to the machine language. So C is like, it's faster than even the Python and the R language, .NET and Java languages, right? C language is much faster. Many times many times, see, now people are facing the Python that it's slow. Okay, Python is slow. So for example, now we are using the Python and our languages for machine learning, deep learning, right? This kind of program, and here we give the training to the neural network model which we'll be preparing, and takes a lot of time to train that particular model. If you're writing the code in Python and all, it's consume a lot of time. So what happens? People are now realizing that Python is a little bit slow. So why whether we can have the C version of this particular Python, and you can check out now. People are thinking about Cython, which is the C implementation of this Python, right? So they are making they are trying to speed up this particular programming language. So C is faster than these kind of languages, obviously, and many times it will require, for example, if you are writing any program or you are designing any software, many times what happens, that programs become slow. For example, if let's say I have created one software and this is my road like structure, and somewhere there is a turn, so this is my bottleneck, and after this, let's say again the flow is proper. So this part where is the bottleneck, which the part which is making slow my entire stuff, that part I would like to implement in some other language, let's say the faster language. So what we can do over there, we can implement the entire stuff with the Java or the other higher level languages, and this particular part we can implement in the machine language or the C language, which will combine both the languages, and then it will become faster. So in that way, we can increase the efficiency. But for doing that, I mean, you should be knowing, if you want to mix the oil and water together, you must know the properties of both the languages. Otherwise, you cannot do, right? So that thing is there. So this was a little bit history about this thing. Let's go back to our basic data type. So I was explaining that we have the few basic data type which we continuously will going to use in this programming language. One is the numeric type. In the numeric, by default, it will take the floating point also and the normal values also, like integer values. But specifically, if you want to give as an integer value, you can specify capital L over there. Then we have the complex data, which can be represented in terms of real number plus imaginary part. Character data can have both single character as well as the string values. Then we have the boolean is also called as logical. Okay, and then we have the raw data. So if this is clear, then let's move ahead to the objects in this particular language. So now we'll be learning the important things which we're going to use in the entire part of the data science or machine learning, whatever you'll be learning. So let's go ahead with the object data types. Click on this file, or if you want to write in the same, it's okay. I'm creating a new file. Okay, it has created a new file, and first we will going to learn about the vectors. Vector. So like this, we'll be learning about the vector, matrix, list, okay, and then we will learn about the data set, data frame, and then once we'll be equipped with all these things, then we can jump to the data science analysis and everything. Okay. So till here, all of you are with me, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how to create the vector? So let me give you one simple example of vector, and vector can be created with that C function, right? With the C function, with the sequence function, many functions are available. So let me create a vector with a simple way. For example, I'll give you the numeric vector example. Numeric vector, just now we saw what we can do. I can create X variable, and I can write with the help of combine function. Let me write 1, then -2, 3 with the comma, okay, 3, 4, 5. So this is my numeric vector. I'll enter. I want to display the value of X. I'm getting 1, -2, 3, 4, 5. If I want to check class, it's a numeric kind of vector. Now what do you mean by vector? See, the vector is a collection of similar kind of data elements. So all the data elements will be same kind of data elements. Let me give one example why we create the vector. So let's go over here. Suppose you are dealing with one project in that you are making one software for the college, and in that for one particular class, let's say, and that class consists of 100 students. Obviously the students will have name, right, and let's say the roll number. Okay, so the 100 students will have 100 names, and 100 students will have 100 roll numbers. Okay. Now if I tell you to store the roll numbers of each and every student, now roll number cannot be, I mean, it's not like that the roll number will be from 1 to 100, right? It can be from any number, starting from any number, ending anywhere, right? So if I'm telling you to store the, let's say, the roll number of the 100 student, what you will do, you will going to create like this. Let's say a1 one variable, let's say you are storing 1, then a2 one variable, you are storing 2, a3 one variable, you are storing 3. Like this, if you want to store 100, you will create like this 100 variable first, right? So this is one tedious task. Second thing, same time you want to store the 100 names of the student. So obviously for this one you will going to create what, let's say n1, and then you will get, you will assign some name, let's say Amit, right? And then n2, then you will write Sachin. So like this you will create up to 100. Clear? So you can see over here, one thing is clear, that all the roll numbers will be of same type, right? If the roll numbers are represented in terms of number, numeric data, or let's say integer data it will be there. So all the numbers, all the roll numbers will be of same data, all the names will be of same data, right? So why to create those 100 100 variables? Why not we can have only one single variable, and where we can have the all the roll numbers together in one variable? So we can declare here in this way, that roll number, okay, roll number, either you put equal to or you put this arrow, and then by using the C function you can write like 1 2 3 4 up to 100. So this one variable, this one roll number variable, in place of a1 to 100, what we are doing, we are just creating one roll number variable, and we are storing all these values together in one line. Similarly, here I can say name equal to the C function, and I'll go on storing the name like this, Amit, right, Sachin, like this, all the 100 names. So here also I've just created one variable, and I've stored all the data which are similar, which are same type. So here all the names I have stored in one variable. Similarly, all the roll numbers I've stored in one variable. So remember, this is called as what, vector, and this is one practical example. Anywhere if you want to store a similar kind of data which will be having the multiple data in one variable, you can create the vector and it will store over there. So how to create the vector? By using simply the C function, we can create the vector, and this is how we can create the vector. Let me create the character vector. I hope the concept you understood, right? All of you? Is there any doubt?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. So let's say in Y I'm saying C, and I want to store Sunday, Monday, right? Tuesday. I'll run this. Then I want to check the value. I'm saying Y, control enter. So it has displayed me Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Then class Y, it's showing me character. So this vector was what? Character vector. Okay, this vector was character vector. Similarly, you can have the Boolean vector also, or the logical vector. So I can write over here, let's say X, okay, and I can use the C And then here you can specify in terms of false, then true. In this way you can specify the value, and if you enter, and if you want to see the value of x, it will give you false true. This is my logical vector. If you want to check the class of x, it's giving me logical kind of a vector, right? So in this way we can create a different kind of vector together and we can display it. Now let's see if we want to access the elements of the vector, then how we can access the elements. So for that, what we can do, let me create one vector. So I'll show you how we can access these elements. Accessing the elements of the vector. Okay. So I'm creating one vector with the help of the C function. In that I'll create, let's say, Jan, Feb, March, April, May, June, and let me create one more, July. Okay. So this I've created, and now after this you can execute. So this is which kind of vector? This is a character vector I've created, right? And I'm executing. I can see the value of x. It's displaying me Jan, Feb, March, April, May, June, July. Okay. Now, suppose I want to, I'm writing in this way. Let's say x, and I'll not disturb x. I'll create one more variable, and I'm writing like this, y, and let's say x of, and put the brackets properly. So to access the elements of vector, we have to put in this square bracket. Okay, put in the square bracket, and we need to specify the index numbers of those vector. So for example, here if I'm mentioning the one only, like this, and if we want to see the value of y, so the one, so vector index number will start from the 1. Okay, vector index number will start from the 1. So if I mention here 1, so what it has displayed me as Jan. Yeah. So if I say y x of 2, right, and I'll enter, control enter, and let's print the value of y. So it's displaying me Feb here. Now, so this kind of index number you will have to specify to access the element from the vector. Remember, vector index number start from not 0, from the 1. So the first element was this Jan. Second element is this one. Okay. Now let's say, so these things, the more you will practice, right, the more you will practice, more you will explore all these things. Many times you might be knowing the multiple languages, so many times you will have to practice the language simultaneously, because some syntaxes here and there, they will differ. And but once you learn the programming, then anytime you can, even if some mistakes are there in the syntax, you can always refer the documentation, or you can just Google it and you will find the syntax. So that will not create a problem for you. But if you're learning any language, just learn it properly, so that the same thing you will going to learn in the other languages. Only thing will just focus on the syntaxes of that particular language. Now let's say, suppose I want to print 2-3 elements together. So what I'll write, y, and I'll write this x. This will be there with a square bracket. Now with the help of C function, I can say, let's say 2, 3, and 4. 2, 3, and 4 in the C function I'm writing. Let me, yeah. Okay. So let's execute this, C 2, 3, 4, and let's print this. You see here, second value was what? Second value was this Feb, third value is March, and the fourth value is April. So if you see here, what I did with the C function, I combined 2, 3, and 4 because I wanted those as output. So I did what? 2, 3, 4, and I stored inside this Y. So Y got the value Feb, March, and April. Okay, understood all of you? So this is how we can we can access the in combination with the different elements together. Okay.
So I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does it need to be a continuous sequence, or can I have some random number which will pick up accordingly?
I mean, here can put any values. Okay.
So I give 2, 3, then I say 6, 7, then I give something else after break. So it will pick accordingly, or should it be continuous values?
Yes. Let's say 6, and let's say I hope that number will be there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is there. So let me write over here 5. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just enter and I'll try to print. So if you see here, it has given me the values. Okay.
Oh yeah, perfect. Got it.
Yeah. Okay.
And why it has to be in the double column data? You put in all the data in the double column, these names.
Double column?
Yeah, this February, like it's having the double columns.
I didn't get double column. What you are saying?
It's double quote. Like
yeah.
Is it double quote? March is in
normally those who know the programming, I mean, they always write the string in the double quotes. Okay, so you can write in the single quotes also, no problem. Normally we write the single letter in single quote, and it's a combination of letters we write in double quotes. Okay. Yeah, even if you write in the single quote, it will not going to make any difference.
So sir, what if we access as x of 0?
So x of 0, because the index number will start from there. If you want to do that, right? And let's print this y. See here, it will not display you anything, right? If it would have been other language like Java, will give you the error over there. Okay, the C kind of languages will give you any kind of garbage value. So remember, and in the C language, it's just like array. Okay, in the C we are having the array. In the similar way, here we are having the vector, but the index number will start from 1, not from the 0. Okay. So next, let's see. Suppose we want to do what? We want to access the elements, and we are mentioning the numbers like this. So let me show you y, and we are saying x. In that, suppose we are mentioning -2. -2 we are mentioning. Let's enter. Let's display the value. So it will display all the values except that second position value. So with the help of minus of index number, we can remove that particular value from the vector. So -2 was my Feb, and if we see here, that element is not coming. Jan, after Jan directly we are getting the March. So I can use the C function also. For example, if I'll do in this way, x and C of, let's say -2 -3. So basically it will going to remove the second and the third value. I'll enter, I'll print this. So after Jan directly we are getting the April. Let's check here, February and March is missing. So in this way we can mention the index number with the minus sign, and we can remove those vectors. Whether you got this point, all of you, right? Let's go ahead. Yeah. Now let's say we are creating 2 vectors, and we will do some kind of operations. So let's create one vector, okay, with the C function with certain numbers. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 6. Let me create in this way: 1, 2, 4, 5, and then let's say 7 and let's say 11. Okay, let's execute this. This is my v1, 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, and 11. Let me create one more vector. If you want to see the values, we can say v1, 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, and 11. Let's create one more. So v2, we can create. Let's put the values. Let's say 12, 4, 3, 8, 1, and 21. So let's check the value of v2. So we got v1 as what? 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 11. v2 is what? 12, 4, 3, 8, 1, and 21. Now suppose we want to perform addition. So simply what you can do, you can create one variable, and you can say like this: v1 plus v2, v1 plus v2. Control enter, and let's check the value of add. If you see here, we got the 13. How we got the 13? The first value was 1, and the first value of this vector is what? 12. So 12 plus 1, we got 13. Okay. Similarly, 2 plus 4, 6. So the element by element, it will going to add.
Sir,
Yeah.
I just wrote v1 plus v2 and it's giving me the same answer. Means it is adding.
Yeah, so it will add only, right? It will add only, and
Yeah.
it will give you the addition. Yeah.
So there is no need to write that add and add equals to. Right?
Okay, so you are telling me you wrote like this: v1 plus v2, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
but I wanted to save in some variable. Okay,
Okay.
that's why I wrote that one. Yeah, obviously we'll get with this one, but I wanted to store in add so that I can show you the add answer. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing which we need to observe is what both the vectors are of the same size. Both the vectors are of the same size. So now we are dealing with the vectors of the same size. Okay, remember that. So for example, what I mean by same size here, if you see, count the number of element 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6. 6 are there, and in the second vector also I am having the 6 element. Similarly, I can subtract also. Say v1 minus v2, right? And if you try to print the values, it will give you element by element. So for example, 1 minus 12 will give you minus 11, 2 minus 4 will give you minus 2, 4 minus 3 will give you 1. Okay, so like this, element by element, it will give you the subtraction. So the next, for example, suppose I want to multiply, I can say mul v1, okay, v1, and you can put star over there, v2, and just try to print the values of mul. So it will give you element by element multiplication. For example, 12 multiplied by 1 first element, we are getting 12. 2 multiplied by 4, 8. Then I think 4 multiplied by 3, it's 12. So element by element multiplication we are getting. Similarly, we can divide also. So div v1 divided by v2. So we can write like this: v1 divided by v2. So you will have to mention one forward slash, and then you can print the value of div. Will get like this. Remember, this is a numeric kind of data, and that's why we are getting this kind of decimal values. Okay. Now let's say suppose we want to sort them. Okay, we want to sort them. So what we can do? Let me declare one vector. So I am having v1 as my. Let me check the same value. Okay, 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 11. I'm having the same values v1, 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, and 11. What I can do, I can say here sort v1. Okay. sort v1. So if I'll say sort v1, I'll run this. It will going to display me in the ascending order. Okay, in the ascending order. So randomly, if I am having any values, it will going to sort basically the collection of values in the ascending order. So if you see here, it's already in the ascending order, right? But if I want to sort this in the descending order, then I can write in this way: sort v1, and then I can say here decreasing is equal to true. Decreasing by default it's false, right? By default, if we're not going to mention anything, by default it's false. So we can say over there in the second parameter decreasing equal to true, and enter. If you see here, it's 11 7, so it will going to sort in the descending order. It will going to sort in the descending order. Clear, all of you?
Sir,
Yeah.
this decimal numbers
Hmm.
on top, if you go a little bit ahead, on top, okay,
Hmm.
this decimal, can you round up those numbers?
Yes. I mean, all kinds of statistics function are available. Okay. So later on, you can explore those functions, and even we can format those functions. Once we'll be dealing with the data set, I'll be showing you over there, right? So for example, like after a point, how many values you want, like let's say only 2 digits you want, or 1 digit you want, or you want to round up entire thing. So all those things you can do very easily. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's say suppose this is like the vector. I hope the vector is clear to all of you. I mean, what I did with the vector and why I created the vector. Whenever you have any real problem, and in that you want to store the multiple people names, or let's say the roll number, or the multiple data of the same kind of type, then you can create the vector. I'm getting some noise. Please mute all of you.
So basically alphanumeric data, right, sir?
No, it's not a alphanumeric. Okay, it's like any data type. For example, just I gave you like a name of all the students or name of all the employee. So we know that name of all the employee will not be like this. First two employee will have the character name, and the third employee will have the number name, right? So all the employee will have the name in the characters in the string only. So all the names data is the same kind of data. So whenever we are finding a same kind of data and we have to store the collection of the data, then you can create the vector, and you can create the vector of the similar kind of data element. So here in the example I gave you the vector of the roll numbers, where we created all the data similar to the integer numbers, or let's say the numeric data. Similarly, the names data type, where we created the collection of all the names, and the entire data was of the names type only, the string kind of only.
Sir,
Yeah.
can you access the records in the sense like a database table? You can access rows or records. Can you access, third element of the first vector and third element of the second vector in one command? Because many times in data processing type of work,
Yeah,
we require that kind of information to relate the same record.
right, exactly. You correctly mentioned, but that will come in the data frame once we learn the data frame data type. Okay, so there what we'll be doing, we will be storing the data in terms of rows and column format. Okay, so there, let's say for example, if I explain you quickly, there will be having the data in this way. So like 1 2 3 4, sorry, 1 2 3 4 5, then let's say name Amit, okay, Rakesh, such kind of names will be there, let's say. And then we have let's say the age 25 30 40 50 60. So what you are asking, let's say suppose I want to retrieve this particular data. So here I can mention the row number and the column number, let's say 2 comma 2 I want to access. So this everything is possible once we'll be dealing with the data frame. Data frame is very, very important. Once we'll finish with this vector we have done, we will finish with the list, we'll finish with the matrix, Then we will jump to this data frame where we'll be creating the data set first of all, right, in the row and column format, and then we will be doing all the operation with the help of data frame. So in this, whenever you want to process any data set, you will have to create the data frame, and then all the steps we'll be doing with the help of data frame. So that will be doing. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, please.
this vector is for collection of similar kind of data element. But
Yes.
what if you need to store alphanumeric data?
Yeah, so if you want to store the combination of the data type, you can create the list. Yeah, so that we will come after this.
List.
Yeah, yeah. You can create the list. So whenever you have the heterogeneous collection of data, like the mixed kind of data, where you want to store the name also, roll number also, address also, right? All the data combined, you can always create the list kind of data. Clear?
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you.
So now here we can take the break, and then we can come after the break and we can finish with the matrix and list today only. Okay. So all of you can revise. Yeah, all of
Okay,
you
sir.
can revise, and then I'll come, let's say by 3:30, and then we can start with the next part, that is the matrix and the list part, and hope we will be able to cover that. Clear?
Sir, can
Yeah.
you list me the names of the packages we have to install?
Name of the packages, the way we will progress, whenever the packages will come, I'll let you know, and at the same time we will install. See, hardly it takes 1 minute, right?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So no need to list down now only, because whenever we will require, and once this course will be over, then whatever functionalities will be required, you will have to search, right? You will have to search whatever packages you need, and then definitely you will get the help, and you can install those packages simultaneously over there.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So you had installed Reshape too. Can you just go about showing me one more time how to do that? Because I got an error. That's what I wanted to share the screen.
Okay. So I think I won't be able to go over there. I don't know where I had written, so I'll show over here
In
only.
Untitled one, I think so, sir. It was there on the.
I'll write again, no problem.
Okay, sir.
So what you can do, you can write install.
Yes.
Okay, install dot. Select the first one. Install dot packages. This one,
Yes.
and in that you can mention the reshape 2.
Okay.
And control enter.
Control enter.
So net connection will be net connection. Obviously, it's there, so it will be able to download, and it will able to install it.
Okay, sir. I will
Okay.
just try. Thank
Yeah. There is one more option. If let's say, for example, if you keep on practicing and many times the packages we install it, so you can click over here, and you can always check. You can always check like whether that package is there or not. So here the list of all the packages will be there. So for example, if there is a search option here, you can check like this reshape. So the moment I have written a few characters, it has come, right? So if I want to load this particular package in my program, I can just click on that checkbox, and this will be loaded to my program. Okay. So before installing any package, you must always check in this particular window in the package tab whether that package is already there. If it's already there, then we don't have to install it. You just click on that particular checkbox, and that will be loaded to your program. So no need to install it. Yeah. If it's not there, then only go for the installation process.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So what is the role of the package? Why it is used?
Reshape is used for various purposes. Once we will demonstrate. I mean, see, now it's telling it's of no use, right? So once we will go with the uses of that one, then we will do the lots of operation. Yeah.
Not only reshape, like what is the role of the package itself? What is the package?
Package is like, let's say, suppose, so package will give you some kind of facilities. Clear? Let's say, suppose all the string kind of data, all the data on the data set I want to operate, and data set I want to do the cleaning, I want to do the processing. Some string names are there that I want to handle it, right? Some integer names are there that I want to do in some different way. So where I will get all this facility, either I will write the program from my side and then I'll process it, or if already the programs are written and it is being stored inside some package, I can install that package and I can use the functionalities of those package. Understood?
So in a way, they are pre-programmed.
Yes, exactly. They are functions are written over there. We just have to install those packages and we can utilize them.
So is it included as a part of our language, or is it that we have to purchase some configuration?
No. We don't have to purchase. The packages are being developed by the community now, every now and then. Every day there will be thousands of packages might be coming. We have to keep checking on that one. But once you are used to the R language, whatever is the important packages, you will definitely come to know, and the functionalities of those one. And whenever you are you got stuck to some particular task, you can always search that particular task in the Google, and many times the people would have advised you to use this particular package, and then once you will read the documentation, you will come to know what different functionalities that particular package will offer you, and then obviously you can go ahead the installation with that particular package and then using that package. Okay.
Thank you.
So basically the packages will provide you the kind of facility, the kind of functionalities which you may require. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So I'll not close this meeting. I'll just stop the recording.